There was a commotion below. It was broadcast to him through the man listening carefully on his behalf. Braccus overheard snippets of conversations passed throughout the safe places where they thought he couldn't hear. His little angry puppet had served him well throughout the years, helping him piece together his enemy's activities by giving him all information he could eavesdrop from others around him. Through him, he had learned of the Keeper's trips to the upper worlds, let them engage in fights with his worthless creations. It didn't really bother him that the Keepers were winning. He had plenty of expendable creatures and could make more if he chose. Let them think they were succeeding. He had patience, plenty of it. Braccus hadn't spent centuries letting I Am think he was a devoted follower to just lose it all over these little issues. Had even heard of a few separate trips 4 of the Keepers had made to remote areas of the caves. This interested him immensely because one of those Keepers was the one who could call life back to a dead body. It didn't take much imagination to figure out what they were looking for. Years had passed without them finding the bodies, but he was confident of their ability to locate them soon enough. They were tolerable only in their ability to stumble on what he wanted them to find. He continued to use his listener to get close enough to the Keepers to learn something important. Feeding him suggestions was easy. The emotions he carried inside drew evil so effectively. The man in question had been old, outliving his entire family by virtue of reaching the shelter before they did. He was 4 years older now and just as bitter as he was the day he got there. Time had not lessened his rage. In fact, the more he mingled with his fellow refugees, the angrier he got. Watching people who were fortunate enough to get here with some members of their family had made him even more resentful, and Braccus was happy to use him during what were surely the last years of his life. When the old guy was gone, he would make a wonderful addition to the horrid thoughts Braccus collected in the afterworld. The thoughts weren't all just his. There were some he took from easily corrupted souls, and they lingered in the background behind the lifeless ideas he had let loose. The evil thoughts of mortals weren't allowed to seek bodies, but could be used to fuel his secret spot with their misery and fear. Thousands of miserable leftover humans lingered in the afterworld, trapped under his power forever, and he was happy to add more whenever he could. Biding his time and gathering information would pay off for him in the long run, and today he finally got confirmation of that. What he heard now made him sit up in his chair and pay closer attention. He directed the now feeble elder to move closer to the place where that death talker was. She had woken up and started talking to her companion about seeing the Moon Circle members. She was excited about the fact that she could now bring them to the exit of the in-between place and closer to where their bodies were. Sarah says she can find where they are hidden if I can get them closer, and that means Marlena can call the souls back in. The conversation went unchecked because she didn't know she had to guard herself against anything. Wasn't this wonderful? Chuckling softly, Braccus was enjoying using the old man, who would undoubtedly carry his anger to death with him and then, of course, would still belong to him. Hearing the faint stutter in the man's heart made him frown. This was a new event and not good at all, especially when accompanied by a sharp, stabbing pain in the left side of his chest. Bitter as he was, Rage would still not keep the man alive forever, but with the way things were happening now, he just might be useful long enough to get him what he wanted. It was a shame only because he hadn't found any bitterness to rival this man's. It had drawn him in like metal to a magnet. Without him he wouldn't have been able to spy on those hidden underground, so he willed the man to ignore the pain that rippled through his chest. Issuing a silent command to lie still and breathe shallow to extend his life just long enough to be useful. After that he didn't care what happened to him.